Hello and welcome back to the controversy series here on Things from Google. First, a massive apology to everyone for the lack of videos for the last month. What with being away on holiday and now being smashed at work, I just haven't found the time. Big excuse, I know. But now that I'm back in the groove, I'll endeavour to get the videos out more frequently. Now, last video, I actually managed to raise a bit of controversy on my own. If you recall, I gave you a brief rundown of the beliefs of those who believe in a flat Earth. After releasing that, I was contacted and informed that all I'd really done was to regurgitate mainstream science and not do any real research on the subject myself. They also sent me through a series of videos which give an alternative viewpoint to aspects that the majority of us take for granted. Gravity, for instance. So, slightly chastised, I will put together a new video on the subject in the next couple of weeks, giving the flat Earth viewpoint and then also the mainstream viewpoint. And rather than put my own opinion on the matter, I'll leave it up to you, the viewer, to decide. Now, that is for a future video. In the meantime, let's move on to this week's episode. I thought for this one we would discuss cycling. Now, I'm not stating cycling itself is controversial. I think it's a great form of exercise, it's good for the environment, and it can be appreciated by individuals, groups, and also families. It's a world-recognised sport with events such as the Tour de France, whose viewerships number in the hundreds of millions over the course of the whole race. No, the controversial aspect is the differing opinions between cyclists and other motorised drivers on the road. Take, for example, New South Wales, here in Australia. I should point out, for those of you not familiar with Australia, but we have a set of states and also two territories. New South Wales is the state where Sydney lives. Sydney, at the moment, being the most populous city in Australia, is also the one prone to having the most issues with cyclists and other motorised road users. Things got to such a mess that in March of 2017, new cycling rules were introduced into the state. Drivers must allow at least 1 metre in distance when passing any cyclist. For roads with a speed limit of more than 60 km an hour, 1.5 metres is needed when passing. However, the New South Wales Centre for Road Safety advises more than the minimum passing distance should be given, particularly for heavy trucks and also for buses. If it is safe to pass a cyclist, drivers are allowed to move across a centre dividing line, broken or unbroken, into the other lane. They can also drive on a flat dividing strip and a painted island. Fines for ignoring these rules can be between $319 and the loss of 2 demerit points and a maximum court fine of $2,200. Bicycle riders aged over 18 must carry photo ID. From the March of 1st, 2017, riders will be fined $106 if they do not have photo ID when they're stopped for breaking road rules. There's also increased penalties for cyclists who don't wear a helmet, for example, or they run a red light, ride dangerously, hold on to a moving vehicle, or fail to stop at a pedestrian crossing. Now, I should also note that here in Australia, it's mandatory to wear a helmet when riding a bike. The website theconversation.com has this to say on the subject. Studies have shown that there is a perception of pedestrians being in danger from cyclists that is far greater than the actual risk. In fact, the risk is so remote that cyclist pedestrian regulations have not even been included in the 2017 policy. In the vast majority of accidents involving cars and cyclists, the driver is at fault. While some cyclists do misbehave, cyclists in general pose next to no threat. But in the debate about the new policy, it is clear there is a very strong anti-cycling segment in the community. So, do cyclists make driving slower? There's actually a lack of research to prove or disprove this conclusively, but speaking anecdotally, while a driver may have to slow down, and is required by law to give cyclists adequate space while overtaking in New South Wales, as we've already stated, it's unlikely that such isolated incidents lead to a significant delay for the motorist, considering there's often a red light or other hold-up waiting for them a few seconds down the road, at least here in urban areas. Motorists often have faulty perceptions of travel time, falsely thinking that other lanes of traffic are moving faster than them. Overall, the cyclist versus driver debate is a classic example of in-group versus out-groups. Motorists are the dominant users of the road and thus form an in-group. They're more accepting of those who are also part of that group and more willing to forgive fellow group members for any transgressions. On the other hand, cyclists represent the out-group, and they're perceived as a threat. They are prone to dehumanization and error group attribution, where wrongdoing by one cyclist is deemed representative of the entire group. That cyclist jumped a red light becomes cyclists jump red lights. What is seemingly universal, however, is road rage incidents between drivers and cyclists, and both sides have their bad apples in this. On Twitter, the hashtag bloody cyclists is actually being used ironically for cyclists to show where cyclists are actually doing the right thing, or to indicate the stupidity of the cycling backlash. Take this one, for example, from Aberdeen Cyclecam on the 28th of January. Hashtag bloody cyclists holding up all the traffic. Or this one from Paul R, actually posted on the same day. Yes, they are. Hashtag bloody cyclists and hashtag texting while in a car, holding up all the traffic. Anti-cycling or social media came to a head back in 2013 when a Facebook post by Ben Smith that he wrote in 2012 was actually used in court to convict him of the manslaughter of Stephen Jarvie, who fell from his bike as Smith sped past him. The post read, and I quote here, and hence if you are at work or of a sensitive nature, maybe turn the headphones down for this bit. Get fucked, cunt. Start paying or using the roads, or keep copping abuse and 2-inch flybys. You can turn it back up. This was in reference to a bumper sticker advising people to leave 1.5 metres. Now remember, this came before the new rules came in. I think from theconversation.com, what is clear is that people have a perception as drivers of cyclists that doesn't match the reality. However, it's clear that for the moment there's always going to be some anger from motorised drivers towards cyclists, and cyclists on their side often, perhaps rightly, feel they are the brunt of bad driving on the roads. Laws and regulations can only take us so far. Remember that on both sides, the target of our anger is someone's son or daughter, someone's mother or father, someone's loved one somewhere. And at the end of the day, is it really worth it? I'm keen to know your thoughts. Until next time, stay safe, and I will see you again soon.